You're standing in a forest you've never entered before. No trail, no sign, no horizon. Just trees, all of them identical, all of them watching. And somewhere behind you, home is already gone. How do you find your way back? How did humans ever do this for thousands of years? We think of navigation as technology, a screen, a satellite, an arrow pointing north. But for most of human history, there was none of that. No paper, no ink, no magnetic needle. So what did they use? They used the sky. The sun moves every day, same arc, same direction. East is where light begins, west is where it dies. At night, the stars, not decoration, coordinates. Certain constellations rise in the east, others set in the west. Some sit fixed above the poles, unmoving anchors in a spinning sky. If you knew those patterns, you always had a direction, even in a forest with no horizon. You didn't need to see the whole sky. You needed one gap, one slice of light between the branches, one star through the canopy. That was enough. Now make it worse. Clouds. Canopy so thick the sun is a rumor. Storm. Night with no stars. This is when most of us would stop, sit down, wait to die. They didn't. They read the ground. Water always knows where it's going. Streams flow downhill. Rivers bend toward the sea. Follow water long enough and you reach something. They read the wind. In open country, wind carries smell. Smoke from a distant fire, salt from an ocean you can't see yet, rot from swamp, rain from a storm line moving across the plain. They read the land itself. South-facing slopes dry out first. North-facing slopes hold moss, shade, cold. Valleys funnel sound. Ridges give you view, if you climb high enough to steal it. And they read animals, not as food, as guides. Herds move toward water on schedule. Bird flocks lift at dawn and trace flyways humans couldn't see from the ground. Even insects. Bees fly straight back to the hive, break their line, and you know a settlement, a hollow tree, a source of sweetness, and sometimes people. The forest wasn't random, it was a language, and they learned to read it, the way you learn to read a face. Here's the part that should break your brain. Most people in a group had never walked this route before. So how did they know where to go? They carried maps, just not on skin or stone. They carried them in sound. Songs with verses in order. Each verse a landmark. The bent tree, the red rock, the place where the river narrows, the hill that looks like a sleeping animal. Sing the song wrong, you miss the turn. Sing it right, you walk a path your feet have never touched. Stories work the same way. A day's walk past the dead oak, turn toward the morning sun, until you hear the waterfall. Not poetry for fun, instructions dressed as myth, because memory survives better when it rhymes, when it repeats, when elders test you, again and again, until the root lives inside your chest. Navigation wasn't one person's skill, it was the group's archive, and if the archive died, the path died with it. That's why those songs were sacred, not because gods demanded it, because getting lost meant not coming home. Eventually, every group pushed into the unknown. No song, no story, no elder who's been there. Then navigation became something darker. Scouting. One or two people sent ahead, quiet, watching, not hunting, learning. They looked for passes between hills, fords shallow enough to cross, gaps in cliff lines, places predators gathered, which meant water, which meant life. They broke branches as markers, not random, deliberate. a language of snapped twigs and stacked stones only their people understood. They memorized the return walk backward, counting ridges, noting where the sun sat when they turned. Because going out is easy, coming back is the test. And when they failed, they didn't always fail loudly. Some simply didn't return. The group waited, then moved on, or searched once and accepted the silence. Exploration had a cost. Every key while was paid for in bodies. That's easy to forget from a satellite image. The deepest trick wasn't finding north. It was building a world small enough to hold in the mind. They didn't try to memorize the whole forest. They memorized nodes. Camp here, water there. This ridge, always visible from the valley. That rock, never pass it on the wrong side. Connect the nodes. You have a network. Not a map of everything, a map of enough. And they moved in patterns, seasonal loops, returned to the same camps year after year. The forest changed, fire, flood, fallen trees, but the nodes held. When nodes broke, they adapted, found new ones, taught new songs. Navigation was never perfect. It was iterative. Try, fail, correct, survive, pass it down. That's why human trails exist at all. Not because someone drew a line, because someone walked, came back, and said, "This way, I made it. You can too." We like to think ancient humans were lost in a green maze. They weren't. They lived inside a readable world. Sky for direction, land for confirmation, memory for distance, people for backup. The forest had no signs, so they became the signs. Every song, every story, every broken branch on the return path. A chain of human markers stretching back further than writing, further than cities, further than anything we call civilization. That's the takeaway. Navigation didn't start with maps. It started with paying attention so completely that the world stopped being noise and became a path home.